Welcome to the Your Talent Matters podcast, where we delve into the world of human resources and employee benefits in Canada. Join hosts Mehdi Rahman, a strategic human resources consultant, and Nick Godfrey, a seasoned employee benefits advisor, as they explore the many challenges that businesses face in attracting, developing, and engaging top talent. So sit back, relax, and learn from the experts on how your talent matters when it comes to growing a business.
Hi, it's Nick Godfrey here again, and today I've got Mark Borkowski, which is really great. We're going to talk about mergers and acquisitions. I'm sorry that my partner and friend in crime, Mehdi Rahman, couldn't make it today. Mehdi's really busy with a tech company in Toronto that going gangbusters, and they're taking up all his time. But I'm lucky today to have one-on-one with Mark, and we're going to talk about mergers and acquisitions and kind of how we think in the human resources and benefits side of things, how you're building a business and one day maybe you're going to want to sell it, and this is what Mark does. So away you go.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Nick, for inviting me on the show. I would like the world to know that there is an incredible amount of buyers and money looking for very few company sellers. The number of private companies at the end of the day that are available for sale are very few. So there is an incredible amount of interest to buy established businesses, large or small. The larger the business, obviously, the more interest. But there is a substantial amount of activity, more than in any other asset class, real estate or otherwise. Lots and lots and lots of money require small businesses. Unfortunately, a lot of these company owners don't understand the process and don't engage. So we are always very anxious to talk to anybody that's contemplating a company sale. It starts with doing evaluation. In our case, no cost, no obligation. If qualified, we will do evaluation. It takes about 4 hours sitting with the company owner, maybe their accountant, maybe a family member, anybody, and we don't take any information away. We can sit and using a spreadsheet, we can come up with probably a valuation range that starts the process. In many cases, and I probably would say probably in about 70% of the cases, owners have an inflated value of their business. And
Isn't that
stops
always
the process.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's always the case.
It stops the process. So I suggest to them that they go out and get a professional valuation or speak to others that are knowledgeable in the field to determine whether their value meets criteria.
Well,
from there, we start to talk about the process. I mean, today,
well, one of the questions, sorry to interject,
is a government benefit.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, just to because one of the interesting things about the issue about selling a business, and you talked about the inflated values, is that the some people. It's funny. I was talking to a guy who said he wanted to sell his business, and I was going, I'm not sure you have something for sale. So there's like that's somebody actually wants to buy. If you're a one-man business, you probably don't really have much for sale. So you need to have, something going on. So
you need
revenue.
Everyone needs an opinion, and there are. At the end of the day, the statistic, it's been published. 60% of all businesses can't be sold, and they're not going to be sold.
So why is that?
For reasons of high expectations beyond what anyone would pay. Businesses that are very burdened with one customer. I mean, I'm talking with a group at the moment that have one customer that gives them 60% of their revenue. One customer, 60% of their sales. Textbook says if you're doing more than 10 to 15% with any one single customer, you are in potential trouble down the road if that customer should go away. 60%, I mean, suddenly that customer goes away. The company's gone. So
on.
how do you sell a company like that? There is a way. You can migrate that company into a larger organization and reduce that exposure. But those are factors why a lot of companies don't sell. Customer concentration, high expectations, poor management, poor financial structure, poor reporting. The list goes on and on and on. However, those that prepare themselves for sale can be sold. And the fact of the matter is that valuations, because there's such a limited number of these opportunities, are very high. Company owners are the people who create new wealth. I mean, most of these people can walk away with millions of dollars in proceeds if they've done it right. So the key is understanding value and then getting into the process. The process now starts with, okay, so we understand your business. We've done a study of the business. We understand the business. So now we've decided to go to market. How do we go to market? Well, any of these businesses can be sold to international buyers. I mean, looking for somebody in the Toronto area, the GTA, that's a limited prospect. In our case, we buy data. So we have a Source Scrub license that costs us $32,000 US to have the names of every single company in every single niche. So if we're selling a company that manufactures paper in some segment, we can find out that name of every single company worldwide that does that, the organizations that own those organizations, private equity firms. So we can do a distribution of 400 or 500 what we call teasers, a brief summary of the company that goes out to these 400 or 500 companies, and the response in general comes back with about 25 to 30% response of saying, we're interested, tell us more. We screen those, and from 100, we might get 15, 18, 20 that we're really interested in. They sign a non-disclosure document. That non-disclosure document gets tabled, and we give them what we call a confidential information memorandum. It's a summary of all the financials, all the company information, all the details. That goes out to the 15 or 18 from maybe 100. Now we get into a dialogue with people who now have come forward. Generally speaking, if you've got a group of 15 or 18, it creates almost a bit of an auction environment where you've got lots of interest, people juggling because some will be more interested than others. So companies that have prepared properly get sold. The issue, of course, is today company owners have the opportunity of selling shares versus assets. Any company that has not used a small business capital gains exemption, it's $950,000, $960,000. The first $960,000 is tax-free. 2 investors, 2 owners, 960 times 2, 3 times 960. Doing an asset deal means you've got to sever all your employees, pay them severance pay, and then be taxed at the full 52% tax rate. Under a share transaction, as I say, tax-free. So, but owners, and this is something, Nick, you're aware of, owners don't do, prior to the sale, any proper estate planning. I was working with a gentleman who was 84 years of age, contemplating finally the sale of his business that didn't even have a will. His large organization, his benefits plan was very poor. So what is the fix? You plan. It might take a year, maybe 2 years before these people are ready for prime time. So you bring in a Nick Godfrey to say, look, his benefits package is very poor. No buyer is going to want to take this on, knowing that these employees at the time of a sale might leave. We need to enhance their benefits package. We need to study their compensation. Some of these people might be underpaid in the city or anywhere. So that's very, very much part of the process. Pete, there's a lot of buyers and not a lot of good companies to sell. The problem is getting the process started and people doing the planning. There it is.
Yeah, well, the key to it from where I sit, because you're clearly on the very onto the transaction part of it, is the preparation. And one of the things that Tom Deans, who's that great author that we all know about,
very well. I know him personally.
Yes, I've
sold
had him
a huge business.
Yes, had him talk to our group, the Business Succession Advisors Network, and he was great. As you know, you start your business with the idea of selling it. one day, so that you need to build
Exactly.
a business that runs without you. So
Correct. That's
yeah,
the ideal situation.
yeah, because you want to leave. Because a lot of businesses, let's face it, and they're not that they're bad, but they're probably just not very saleable, are the lifestyle businesses that you know I'm in a business, fortunately, that has recurring revenue, and that somebody's going to want to buy it one day. But there are lots of businesses that, you're right, they just kind of go whoop and they close the doors, and they've enjoyed their lives, and on they go. So
They've made
you
an
know what?
income. I mean, buy a franchise. You're buying
Yeah,
yourself a job. I
yeah,
mean, very few of the franchised organizations, after they paid their franchise fees, there's very little left outside of a salary for franchise owners. So it's a lifestyle business. I mean, businesses today in the hospitality, the restaurant industry, those business, I mean, I am told that there are 261 restaurant and hospitality businesses for sale in the general GTA at the moment, from people working in that field. Everything from pizza shops to little sandwich locations, franchise locations. There's a lot of unfortunate fallout. So
yes,
those
yeah, yeah.
businesses might not be very saleable, but there's always a buyer obviously at the right
At the
value.
right
There's
at the
always
right
somebody
price.
looking to come in at the
That's
right
right.
price. And frankly, many of the new Canadians that have come to Canada, to Ontario, particularly people from Iran, people from Ukraine, Russia, Eastern Europe, the UK, Americans that have come here are looking to acquire businesses as opposed to taking corporate jobs. So there's new money available. The question is having good projects to show them. That's the
Yes.
limitation.
Yeah, yeah.
Show us
No,
a
I
deal. Bring us a deal.
so one of the things that you did mention to me, prior to our actually meeting and recording this, was that it's slow out there for you. And
It's
what
very
you,
slow.
and what do you attribute that to?
Well, again, there's a limited number of private companies available. I mean, I sat with a gentleman 3 weeks ago, employs 230, 240 employees. So, I mean, a sizable company. And we sat together. We did the valuation. We spent 4 hours. His accountant was there. And he said to me, I get a lot of inquiries. Let me show you the inquiries I've received over the course of the last year. He pulls out a file that was probably about 2 inches thick. He printed off all the correspondence he received by emails, correspondence he received by mail, by courier, phone messages from his competitors, private equity firms trying to acquire his business, other brokers, two of my competitors that showed. I'm flipping through this file saying, this guy's received probably over the course of a year close to 40, maybe 45 inquiries to sell his business.
Wow,
So there's
that's a
not a
lot.
lot of private businesses available for sale. Where do pension funds, insurance funds put their money? They're not putting it into real estate. Real estate returns are minimal. The greatest returns at the moment are in private equity, investing in private businesses. But there's not enough of them right now, Nick. There's
Yes.
just not enough good businesses for sale. So that's where we're seeking. That's what we're looking
Well,
for.
and that's a tricky part. And then, there's a limited supply, and then the seller can be kind of picky sometimes. I've heard stories where, it's I don't want to just sell to the highest bidder. I want to make sure that my people are taken care of. They're my family. They helped me build this company, and I don't want somebody like a big private equity firm that all they're interested in doing is, firing a bunch of employees and trying to boost up the bottom line and exit again in another 5 years. They want to keep it running like it's running now. So
You're 100% correct. There are the sellers who have grown up over 40, 50 years with employees who've been with them, who've been employees, not owners. And they want these people a guarantee that these people will have some continuance, that they'll be employed going forward. And in many cases, for those that plan, they will make some key employees, give them the opportunity of having some ownership. That's the key right now. Now, the Canadian government have put something out recently called employee trusts, and they are trying to have some tax incentives. And the legislation came out this week. It's unbaked, it's unprepared, but they're talking about trying to provide incentives for company owners to sell to their employees. They're giving them some tax benefits. Unfortunately, company owners, to sell to their employees, nobody gave the company owner a gift. Why do they need to give their employees a gift? I mean,
Yes.
They're going to turn over a company to them and take all the risks that once he leaves, some 75 or 80-year-old company, or maybe younger owner, and he's going to take all the risk of financing them into business as opposed to selling out to somebody who gives them do-re-mi and gives them cash. So right now the government is looking at ways to say a lot of these businesses should be preserved. They should be sold to employees. The downside of selling to employees, though, Nick, is most of the employees don't have any further capital. So these businesses, they may have acquired the business. The owner may have taken a huge vendor take-back note. He's financed the business. He's taken all the risk, but they don't have the capital to expand the business going forward. So a lot of these small businesses that have been bought by employees, they just languish out there. They stagnate.
Yes.
So
Interesting.
There's no easy solution.
Yeah.
But an owner willing to offer his key people some participation in ownership going forward, he doesn't give it to them. They earn it.
Yeah.
Those people stay on indefinitely with the new buyers. And I'm telling you, there's no shortage of buyers.
Yeah. And doesn't that make it more attractive to the buyer to know that they can, they've stepped into a management team that has some skin in the game and is gonna keep running the biz.
They're going to keep running it. And those are the businesses that are successful. So, in any of these businesses, they always have one or two or three key people. If you can tie those people in, and by the way, I mean, you know better than anyone, people with good skills and good capabilities are always in demand. I mean, speak to our friends in the recruiting industry. I mean, they're poaching people from, anyone who's got the title of general manager of any company, of any manufacturing company, if they're not getting calls at least once a month from competitors and other companies, those skills of operating a company are very precise, very, very detailed. So those people are scarce.
Oh, yeah. And those are the sorts of things we talk to business owners about is, how are you engaging and rewarding and keeping your employees energized?
Well, that's important. And that's where a lot of people fail. And so the buyers come and say, this company has not upgraded itself with proper benefits, proper compensation, proper incentives, no profit sharing. These are things that you could bring to the table much more aggressively. And unfortunately, again, it's all about planning.
Yeah.
Owners need to, if they're going to sell, and remember, as our colleague said, you start a business with the intention that someday you're going to sell the business. That's your big reward at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. I think you've summarized all these sorts of things really well, and I think we've hit a couple of key points.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Yes. Well, great to have you along today. And we're going to get this up to the World Wide Web so that the world can enjoy it.
Let's do it.
All righty.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Mark. You're welcome.
Take care. Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Your Talent Matters podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with others. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. For more information or to connect with your hosts, you can visit their website, yourtalentmatters.ca. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.